5?
7. Wait, hold on. That's not.
Well, I mean, that number is very appropriate, so, hello, and welcome to the Nen Show. It's another episode, Hitman Reborn. We got one more after this. This is your host, Craftsdwarf, and my co-host, Mathwiz. Say hello, Mathwiz.
In keeping with this definitely hasn't been, we've had worse podcasts, but, in terms of, keeping with the inconsistency of what we've been taking away from Hitman Reborn, this arc was really good. Coming off of the future arc where it was neither of us were feeling it, and now it's oh wow, good manga.
Yeah, no, we'll get to first. Next, we are getting close to the end of Hitman Reborn. I finally fucking remembered to actually make the announcement at the start of the episode instead of oh shit, there's this thing I totally forgot about and bring it up at the end for some reason. So we are starting. So we're doing another block, which will be the first one in Saint Seiya and Dragon Ball. Actually, that was our last block because we did our patron pick, we did our this is our patron pick rather, and then we did the catch up with One Piece of Wano after our hiatus. So yeah, it's been a hot minute since we did a full on block where we got to actually pick, reading a new series. So we are doing the 90s block. My pick will be Trigun and Trigun Maximum, which is a series I have basically no experience with, except that I read the first chapter a few years ago at Anime Expo because they had a manga club, and I just picked up Trigun and I was like, oh, neat, and then I just put it down, never got back to it.
And
I didn't
watched
own the book or anything.
The original anime, but not whatever the new one is, not Stampede.
That'll be interesting because that's again we talked about it. That's one of the because we have a lot of series that we have we both have some context on. Then we have series where I feel like it's generally leaned towards either we both have context, I have context, or neither of us have context. Soul Eater was one of the exceptions to that so far. And this will be another one, I think, Trigun, where you actually know some things going into it where I know, nothing, basically. And apparently the manga is pretty different from the anime, too, so that'll also be interesting. Yes, we will be reading both Trigun and Trigun Maximum, like I said. But anyway, you, however, picked...
Shaman King!
Yeah, which, I guess it's actually kind of funny now that I think about it, because I've read Shaman King before. But I haven't touched Trigun. You've watched Trigun, but you haven't touched Shaman King, I believe?
Yeah, no, I have no experience with Shaman King.
Yeah, so if it has been a while, so how we do it is there's going to be a poll in the description, and you guys are just going to vote for which of those two we're going to read first. And as far as, because there are a bunch of spin-offs and stuff, I believe the only ones fully translated, if there's even that many more, there's Flowers, Zero, and Red Crimson. For Shaman King. As for which ones we're going to read, I don't know, because it kind of depends on how we feel about Shaman King. If it's a Kinnikuman kind of situation where it's no, which I don't think it will be. I have a feeling we'll at least think it, enjoy it to a degree. That if we really like it, we might just go let's get more Shaman King and just go into these sequel series, these other things. If we're kind of on it, it'll probably, or it was okay, we'll probably do with Saint Seiya with Lost Canvas, where we'll just we'll read it at a time period where we want to wait on ongoing things finishing. If the Egghead Island arc in One Piece is almost done, a few chapters away, then that's when I might be able to do the maybe that's when we'll read Lost Canvas and Shaman King Flowers, but I don't know. It would also be really helpful. So I have read Shaman King, so I can just, and I've already downloaded the manga, so I can just personally look up an arc list and just go through and find it myself if I need to, just pick where arcs began and ended. But if anyone I don't know how available, because sometimes you get Shaman King was decently I'm actually not 100% sure how popular it was, because it infamously got canceled in Shonen Jump and had to finish in other magazines. But it even got an anime. The anime got a 4Kids dub, right? So it's definitely not like an unknown property, and it was running around the same time as, like, I think it started in 96, so or maybe a little later than that. So it was running at the same time that One Piece, Hunter x Hunter, were running. So like, it's definitely known for sure. So yeah, but I any arc suggestions would be helpful. For Trigun, that one I mostly need because it's much shorter. It's only like we're gonna do just one episode on the first series, which is only 3 volumes, so that could be a very short episode. Then I believe maximum is only like 14 volumes, I want to say. So we could just like split that in half. So really, all I need for Trigun is like, here's a chapter like roughly halfway through maximum that we could stop at for the first reading, and then we'll just finish it for what would be the second reading of maximum and the third episode of Trigun. So yeah, that would be much appreciated. Thank you, and
we'll see you next time. Wait, no, hold on.
Yeah, no, wait. So yeah, go ahead and leave that leave those if anyone has any suggestions on either just a full arc list of Shaman King, and a halfway stopping point for Trigun maximum. Go ahead and leave that in the comments here, and yeah, it'd be much appreciated. And then also go ahead and cast your vote on which you're interested in seeing us read first. We're definitely going to read both of them as usual, but so maybe you want us to get it. I mean, also Trigun's going to be shorter because by my estimates, Trigun's going to be 3 episodes, and Shaman King's going to be 5 minimum, but it could be like 8 maximum. It kind of depends on like how many of the spin-offs we're reading, or the sequel series and stuff, and how many like because it's and yeah, how the arcs are divided. So we'll find out. But yeah, I think that about covers it for announcements.
I guess there's like the book club. Yeah,
I was gonna wonder if because so I'll to bring up the book club briefly. It's been Dr. Slump is hard to read because it's not very good. So that episode has been continually delayed. Like, I've already finished it, but Mathwiz is struggling. It's
a quick read, but I'm just not really enjoying it. So that's the hard part.
Yeah. So it's like, I think our thing is like, we're probably gonna like do something for that and then try another episode and just see like how that goes, and probably not going to focus on scheduling it so much, like, because I had the idea of like, we'll do like once every 2 months, and it's like, we'll do it. It's probably just gonna, if it does become a thing, it's probably just gonna be like the No Show, where it's just like it just happens as it happens. So yeah, I'll bring that up while we're talking about announcements. So anyway, Reborn had just a nice solid arc, and it was good. And it's like, because I was thinking about it, and I think one of the areas I think of Reborn as fascinating is just sort of like seeing the evolution and growth of it in it, of like, because not just like the characters training and improve themselves, but especially just like the author, where it's like it starts as this gag comedy series, then becomes a battle series, and now it's becoming a just like more like tight and cohesive, I guess, where, because like the future arc was kind of like really long and not as interesting or gripping as I would hope for a long arc, where this arc was just like, okay, she's learned a lot of stuff from doing the manga for like 300 chapters, so she just bolts out this like much shorter arc, it's like what, 40-50 chapters, it wasn't a long arc, and it's just, it's tight, it gets stuff across, it's just a solid, fun read,
Yeah, it definitely felt like with the future arc, I think there was, not that this arc didn't have like exposition and like explaining new mechanics and like characters and stuff, but like with future arc, it felt like there was so much, because like they jumped 10 years into the future, so it's like, how does the time travel work? How does blah, 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 blah? And it kind of felt like, particularly because the translation for that stretch was a lot worse and more inconsistent than...
The scans this stretch were much better. They, like, looked better. There was the occasional awkward translation, but, like, compared to... It wasn't unreadable. It was at times with Future.
It was a lot more consistently, like, fine.
Yeah, and then like you mentioned exposition, but like yeah, like there was exposition for this part, but like there's less to explain, like much less to explain, because like we're already like the power system is solidified. We don't need to like we're getting abilities explained to us, but like like learning. Oh, there's another set of 7 rings that do their stuff, but it's like it's not wildly different from what we've already seen, right? So and then like yeah, new characters, but like way less new characters it felt like than the future arc. I don't even know if that's true well maybe I don't know, like Future had a lot of like antagonists, but like it also had a lot of minor antagonists and stuff. So where this is just like here's the 7 guys and they introduce them right away and they make them they're silly and likable and then they become enemies. And
I think
like,
this
it works,
arc
so.
just it felt a lot more straightforward to me because it was like from the beginning it's like here are these new characters, they're all paired off to a particular member of the 7 Guardians like immediately, and I don't know, it just felt very straightforward and very easy to get into.
But yeah, so to get right into it, well, I want to talk briefly about like just the designs of the Shimon family, just because like they're all transfer students to the school, and it's really funny because like I don't know what's funnier, like that they're just adults who just transferred to a middle school and everyone's like yeah that's fine, or if they are actually middle school age, because I don't remember it being directly stated, and like I don't know what's funnier. Because like both of those like because that's the thing with like anime and manga designs, like I mentioned it back with Yu Yu Hakusho because there was the one character who Togashi said that yeah this guy's 15 because he looked like more old and mature, and so he like because like that's the thing with anime, you can't tell a character's age just by their design, right? Like Jotaro from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is this hulking massive man and he's 17 years old. Yunochi from Hidamari Sketch is this little tiny child, also 17 years old. Like you can't just tell. So even in the here, they're like when the fucking the baseball guy gets introduced, they're like, oh, is that he's a middle school transfer student, or is he someone's dad? I don't know, and we really don't. Like maybe puberty's just really. I don't know. That's I just think that's like just inherently funny to me. Like just right, like, and that's one other thing, like just some of the jokes and stuff early on this arc, like actually I thought was funny, so even just like the fact that I like the humor better than a lot of the previous arcs, like I kind of immediately clicked with this arc more. Yeah, but anyway, we get introduced, there's the inheritance ceremony, and we get introduced to the first one of the who's her name is fucking Shit P, and I can't make that up. Like, like it's so silly.
I saw that and I'm like, am I reading that right? Is there some trick to this?
I think she knows exactly what she's doing, and like, so it's like, well, okay. And Gokudero's of course like glasses. Gokudero's canon now. Important content. And then we also get Adelaide or Adhelheed. Words are hard. And of course Enma, who is very much a contrast to Suna, which was neat. I love the panel with Alba, the Ryuhei's rival, counterpart, where he's like, I'm not a genuine idiot like you, I'm an idiot that accepts the fact that I'm an idiot. And it's like, I don't know. They just like the way they just like instantly click and get along is just in these stupid ways is just fun. Okay, well, I didn't care for Julie, but he's also literally the main antagonist of the arc, so
yeah.
Also, when Adelaide's talking to Hibari, I love there's just one panel with Hibari, a couple panels, like he's just chilling on Hibari's head, and he's just a little bird.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that the first time, but yeah, it's just there.
little Hibari's little nest on his head, and it's so cute.
Yeah, it's like I'm just looking at the page where it's like oh, I took out all these clubs by force, and you get this like really cool looking close up on Hibari's face, and then in the next panel it's just the little guy. He's just hanging out.
He's just literally the second best character from the Mukuro's arc, Hibird. I don't think I'm wrong. Holy shit.
Yeah, no, I love what I love the fight between these two characters that happens later.
Yes.
And the whole thing about the small animals and tying that back to like the leaders of the it was good.
Yes. But yeah, Suna bumps into Enma, who is a disaster, like, very much sort of like showing, because I think he's even like a little worse than Suna in a sense, or like more like Suna how he was before, and still is, right? Like, it's not like Suna's changed, entirely either. So, but they, immediately clicked, and it's so yeah, the Shimon family is making waves at the school. Hibari fights Adelaide for a bit. Yeah, they talk about the inheritance ceremony for a bit and how the other families are going to be there. Suna, of course, still doesn't want anything to do with the mafia shit. Mostly just wants to marry Kyoko and live a peaceful life. Oh yeah, and there's the other mafia families that are trying to make moves since the inheritance is happening. There's the fight against the giant guy.
Yeah, I think I'm a little behind. One thing I did like between like when Suna first kind of ran into Enma, and then also like Reborn kind of threw him in to break up the fight between Hibari and the other girl, and like I like how he just gets thrown in and gets clobbered, and it's like ow, but it's like, oh, you didn't die from that, so it's like it's a way like he's strong but he's clumsy. I think there's something later that Reborn says like he has weaknesses but he's not weak or something like that, and I thought that was it's just kind of it's silly and it's good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this fight with the big dude sure does happen.
Yeah. Yep. One unfortunate thing about the arc though is like, Chrome is still cute, but she just like, gets kidnapped, and it's like, just go to school, be a cool girl with your friends. I don't know. It's the same issue I feel like I had with Star Twinkle with Uni, where it's like she doesn't get fully integrated into the cast. I felt like she just, they're at school and she's just not, and I'm like be a part of the team. And so Chrome kind of has that same issue where she's just like out doing her own thing, and it's like but they're friends. You literally were introduced kissing Suna, and she does get some stuff later, but it's also like so
no, I definitely liked how she was integrated at the end, but it just doesn't really have a lot of, and maybe, I don't know, maybe that's part of the point, that like she's, either being controlled by Mukuro or being controlled by someone else. So it's like she doesn't have a whole lot of agency, and I mean, maybe it's going somewhere. I'm kind of, it's just, I want to like her, but there's just not, it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot going on. Like, because I guess what I thought, like, the interesting thing about the, like, the dynamic she has with Mukuro is that they both kind of need each other, but she really doesn't feel like she has a lot of agency in that sort of role. Like her ideal or whatever is like, oh, she wants to work with Mukuro, and like she doesn't want to like give up on him or something to that effect.
Yeah, because they kind of have that. Right, well, because, you have Julie/Daemon, who's able to, he makes a point of, like, I can also replace your organs, but, so it's just, like, so you have one, perhaps not ideal relationship with Mukuro being replaced with a definitely worse relationship with Daemon, so it's like, well, Yeah, and I guess, like, with Chrome, she got a little, she got to hang out with the other girls in Future Arc and sort of integrate into the team that way, but really still not a whole lot with like the Guardians and stuff. Yeah. Which, like, it makes sense for Hibari, because his whole thing is, he's the cloud. He just kind of floats around and does his whole thing. And God, his fight might have been like, definitely one of the top ones. But Chrome, I don't know, maybe that's part of the mist and their illusion or something. I don't know.
Just kind of waiting for that moment where like kind of what Hibari got in this arc, where it felt like everything about his character like clicked into one like one big moment, and just kind of.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess the thing with Mukuro, like, Reborn has been warning Suna about him that, because he's still, he still wants Suna's, like, body. Like, he wants to possess him ultimately. I think he mentioned that this arc. But, that doesn't mean Chrome wants that. So, I don't know. I guess maybe it is, like, well, but even then, I don't know. But anyway, the Simon's family's scheming. I don't actually know how to pronounce the name of the family. They spell it a couple different ways. So
yeah, my assumption was like, I mean, because how they spell it the first time, and then but it seems like phonetically it's like Shimon, maybe.
Yeah, so it's like Shimon or Simon, but it's spelled, in English I'd say it as Simon, but so a middle ground would be Simon. So I don't know. I'll probably just lean on towards Shimon, but who knows? I don't. I mean, because that's probably what the kind of. I imagine it's written in katakana, which means that it's not necessarily pronounced phonetically. Like there was a discussion regarding Nuts, who the lion, where phonetically it's Natsu, which could mean summer, which might associate with the flames, but considering like when it's written out in Roman letters, it's very clearly Nuts, and Nuts is still pronounced Natsu.
Yeah,
and so that's just how katakana work.
Because this group name just kind of makes me think of the Gurren Lagann character.
Yes, I was thinking the exact same, like because they kind of did, or I don't know. Or God, it's been a while since I've or specifically like listened for it, but I remember like in the English dub they pronounce it like Simon instead of Simon, which is how I would expect it to be pronounced based on how it's spelled. So, but yeah. So anyway, Suno's house continues to become a den for weirdos as the Shimon family enters. And you have Alba and Ryuhei's training / study bonding thing. Like that was silly.
The comedy in this arc is very good, I think. That was like, that's a good example of it where we're gonna fight each other, there's this hostile energy, and then like, oh brother, what are you doing? And like, okay, study competition, so intense, so hot-blooded.
Yeah, I also like how Alba is like, if you look at his design, he's like, oh, glasses prick, right? But he's not actually like, he's actually just stupid. Like he's not really that different from Ryohei, who when you look at his design, it's like, yeah, sporty dude. He looks like a boxer, and it's like Alba doesn't look like that, but he's still, they're very similar. To the point that I think they're the only ones who have a draw. Yeah. Oh yeah, and then there's the chapter with Mizuno, who has this thing with pitching, and Yamamoto sort of helps him work through it with everyone dressed as vegetables.
That was another good chapter.
And okay, Lambo being broccoli made me laugh because he's barely wearing a costume. That's just his afro. That's just his hair already. He's already looks like broccoli. And yeah, it was just pretty wholesome. Like it was silly, but it was wholesome, which was nice.
Because you have this like big tough looking guy, but it's like, he gets nervous pitching around people.
Feels like I'm in a bowl of salad, and it's like it's just it's just so dumb, but it's also it made me feel good. I was like, yeah, that's wholesome. They're just helping their new friend.
But then the chapter ends. I was gonna say it also doubles as like, whoa, what's this mysterious power? He's a strong dude.
Yes. Yes, exactly. So it does a really good job of balancing the humor and comedy, like with this build-up stuff. So yeah, it's fun. And also, I've talked about this before, but the fucking names, like we see the the ninth comrades, and that just like I'm just like looking at these names again, and the one that gets me the most is definitely Coyote Nougat, which.
Yeah.
Croquant Bouche is another good one. But they're just Nybrow Junior. which implies an eyebrow senior. I don't know why that's oh god, I just love the silly names. Oh yeah, so then there's the the one thing I thought was weird, it didn't come up, so it's probably more incidental because there's the Gyu, oh god, Gyu, the spooky assassin family. Damn it, I'm glad that these guys are important, or we would have had another fucking Hogokyu incident. Did I even fuck, I pronounced it wrong again. Yeah, see, where I just this is the thing I can't pronounce. Fuck me. So I'm really glad these guys aren't important because that was fucking rough. But yeah, I just noticed that the two guys in particular kind of remind me of those two spooky assassins from the Mukuro arc, the ones who were being controlled by the guy who had Hibird. I'm actually just calling him Hibird now. It's not what it's called. And they were stalking Kyoko and Haru. So I was just hey, those guys look familiar, and there's even two of them and a girl who, doesn't quite look the same. But no, it's probably just more an incidental thing. And then they get destroyed anyway by the Shimon family, I believe. So rip.
But we don't know it's the Shimon family.
Not yet. And then Gokudera has a, nice thing with, Shitopi, who, as he, actually instead of just treating her like a weirdo, he just actually meets her on her level, and she responds to him, and it's nice. Oh yeah, we have a popularity poll coming up. I just it's not here yet, but I saw some color pages and I was like, oh yeah, I remember that.
No, there's just, I don't really know how to describe it in any detail, but it's just I like the character dynamics in this arc.
Mm-hmm.
Between the Shimon and the Vangola.
No, for sure, because it's not quite this I did talk about it a little bit with Princess Tutu, where I like the angle of having multiple a character, because no, this is pretty different, but because you had Ahiru, who's a person, and then also a duck, and you had what's his name, the bad boy, the cool guy, who he was annoyed with the girl, but he was fine with, and then he found out they're the same, and. Thank you. Fuck, I couldn't remember that for the life of me. And he and also Princess Tutu herself, and then he found out they're all the same person, and he had to sort of reconcile these different people as one person. You know, so and this kind of has a little bit that where they're meeting as friends, and then they have to become enemies and reconcile their friendship and their opposition. And the fact that it really sold the friendship moments where it's even if they were really silly with Mizuno, and stuff, but they're still, I felt things. I was this is good and wholesome, and then it's I kind of figured they were going to become the antagonists, but what else, what the fuck else is going to happen with these guys? And obviously there's ominous stuff with them from the beginning, so it's something's got to happen. But it was still good. So
I did think it was kind of funny how it ended up working out, executing the twist where it's kind of oh, okay, there's something fishy going on here, and then Alba just kind of drops a piece of paper and what's his name, Sword Boy,
wow, Braid,
no, Yamamoto. He picks it up and is why is the Vangola logo crossed out? Is this you're gonna stop the ceremony or something? And then it's just boom.
Yeah, now that you mention it, that is a really silly way for the
what are you gonna do, stab me? Quote, man who is stabbed.
And the fact that Mizuno is just carrying around a piece of paper with the Vangola logo crossed out is that's just a little unsubtle, don't you think? It's similar to fucking why can't I remember the fucking mad scientist guy from Bleach carrying around a photograph of
Kurasuchi?
The last Quincy. Kurasuchi. I was Kuro, what's the rest? Okay, thank you, Kurasuchi. Yeah, and he had a fucking photograph of the Quincy that Ishida's grandpa, who he fucking killed and tortured, and he's good times, and that pisses, Ishida off, obviously. So just that same energy of just man, what the fuck? Why are you carrying this on your person? That seems a little messed up. But yeah, Suna gets a conversation with the ninth, and trying to like help get Suna's take on things, and because he's still doesn't want to become the Vongola boss. Oh yeah, so there's this cover page with the original family, and just one thing. It's more that I found out because Lunaxer, he was one of the person who rallied for us to read Reborn. He also he's been rereading the manga, and also he watched the entirety of the anime, which I've seen bits and pieces of through screenshots. And apparently during the future arc, there was like a filler, an anime original arc that involved I think one that involved the 7 arc of Veleno, and then another one that involved the original family, because he mentioned something about being a bit more invested in the stuff with the Primos, comrades, because he'd gotten more stuff from them from the anime, even though it's not canon, but well, I mean, even then, because he pointed out because there was the one spread, I remember being whoa, she just shows here's the fucking Arc of Veleno, just all of them, because it's kind of I mentioned this way back when with comparing it to the Warlords, right, where Oda is okay, the 7 Warlords of the Sea. Okay, 500 chapters later, we finally get to see the last one, right? Yeah. So here it's okay, the Arc of Veleno, we get 3 or 4 of them, and it's just here's the rest, and also their designs as adults, and it's okay, you're just gonna, okay, sure, just drop it. But that was because the anime was doing an anime original arc focused on them, so so it's the designs already existed, so she just included them in the manga that way. So I don't know, it was just something to note. I'm probably not going to go out of my way to watch those episodes, but it's interesting to see, to know about a way that the the anime did things differently. And then I don't think it fully it adapted this arc anyway, so it is what it is. But yeah, Suna and Enma have a good conversation, where Suna's trying to connect to Enma as someone who hates the mafia, but, Enma iterates that, they have a very different perspective where, obviously Suna's been, given a lot of things from the mafia. He's been pulled into a lot of shit from the mafia, but, it's ultimately something he has the choice to be in or out of, or Enma, has kind of been forced into it because of the horrible shit he's gone through. It's been forced onto him in a different way, and so he's responded to it in his own way. So good stuff.
Yeah, for being kind of a dynamic that was kind of I'm trying to think, this reading was maybe 60 chapters or something close to that, or 50, 60, I don't know.
Let me double check. Yes, it was 60 chapters, which is longer than it felt, actually. So. Yeah,
I was just thinking that, for being a dynamic that was kind of just introduced in this arc with these two characters, all the emotional moments, I was invested and bought into all of the stuff at the end where, it's it really didn't take much for them to become friends, and that's kind of the point that and it says a lot about Suna that he would go that far out of his way for someone that he's known for a week or two, maybe, if that. So
right, because they connect, and he sees himself in them, and he is a very much he reads into people, and pays attention to others. So but yeah, it's still well. And another thing I was even thinking about is because with the future arc, we were introduced to a bunch of, characters, and obviously future versions of the characters. And I kind of didn't expect anyone to come back, obviously, because, it was in the future. But even then, we still had, Spanner and Shoichi sort of come up a little bit in this arc. And I was oh, okay. Where I feel with the Shimon family, I actually kind of, I'd like to see these guys again. I like them, so I don't mind, them coming back. Right, so that was just a thought I had as far as how much I am endeared to these silly guys. Yeah. Oh right, the letter. I forgot about that, where Enma was sort of testing Suna, and fucking Ipin. She opens the window and ruins everything.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
I can just imagine the weekly readers being like, "Oh, that's but he could have if he had seen the letter he contrived."
Yeah.
Because it is kind of like, "Oh no, he would have done it. He obviously would have done it."
Yeah. See, like, because I do think about that kind of thing a lot. Mostly, like, I'll probably talk about it if we do the next book club on Nisekoi, because like, there's definitely something because like there's the romance trope of like character confesses, sorry, I didn't hear you because that train just went by, would you say it again? And it's like, and then they don't say it again, right?
Yeah.
So there's something like I've read it for Nisekoi where it's like they even state it once or twice, but like it's the thing when that happens is like the character, if they really wanted to confess, they can just do it again, right? Like there's nothing stopping them in theory. But they don't, because in some way they don't want to confess. So like there's an angle of like, you know, the random thing that's happening is still matching the internal feelings of the characters. Like they're being stopped because they want to be stopped, if that makes sense. Where in this case, I could see why people might. I mean, people are already mad about that. You know, in this case, Suna, obviously, yeah, he would have gone and helped his friend, right? So like the random thing happening doesn't match his personal feelings, I guess. So like in that way, it's a little different, which, you know, again, it's not something I have a problem with, right? Because like at the end of the day, like it creates more drama and, you know, like that's the thing. It's like, once you see like, oh, they're like Suna, like, and at the end of the day, yeah, Suna does reach through to Enma, right? Like his feelings get across, even if like, you know, life doesn't go the way either of them wants to, right?
Yeah.
So, which you could read as like an alternate. There's a potential meaning from that, right? Like, you know, that like fate is just giving them bad hands, and they just have to kind of deal with it no matter what. And that letter falling into the trash is just another example, right? So, hey, I just talked myself into liking it. Nice. So yeah, Suna turns down the title, and everything goes to shit. Because Yamamoto gets just completely wrecked. But of course, you know, that also turns him around because, you know, he ultimately wants to protect his friends, and that's what what he cares about, and he'll be more able to do that as the mafia head. So, and you know, they also talk about the sin and the you know, the culprit. So, you know, he'll do what he has to, rather.
Yeah, now we get to that moment where it's like, it couldn't mean overthrow Vongola, could it? And it's just like, oh shit.
It did. And
exactly
then getting to the inheritance ceremony, have Longchamp just kind of comes in again briefly, and that's like for a couple panels, which I don't know. I was surprised because, like, I don't know, it's something. He's just a meme. I don't know why. I can't explain it, but Longchamp is a meme.
Yeah. When I saw that, I'm like, oh, that's Craftsdwarf's gonna have something to say about this. It's his boy.
Know me so well. And yeah, of course, using the illusions to pretend Yamamoto's perfectly fine and everything's fine. Which Squallow immediately sees through, because he'd you know, has his Yamamoto radar. He's just able to tell where he is at all times. And he's like, he's not here. Also, the baby they have, Viper, I think. I forget the name of the baby of the Varia. I just thought it was weird because in the one panel it looks like he has a halo over his head, and it's like, wait, did he die? Did he come back? Is this Dragon Ball rules? So, but in the previous one he doesn't have the halo. So, but yeah, the ceremony starts, and Shimon family reveals themselves, and they get the sin to power themselves up. I do think it was very fitting that, like, after, you know, following up the future arc where you have this, like, you know, respect from the past versus, you know, completely obliterating the past to rewrite the future, to, you know, control the future. You have more of a, like, literally the sins of the past are coming, you know, back to them. So, you know, they kind of have to, like, face that and find a way to move forward, sort of. So, you know, it just kind of works as a companion to future in that sense.
Yeah. I was thinking, like, I didn't know how to put it into words, but that last arc's about the future, and this we really look into, like, the past and influencing the present, and it's cool.
Yeah. And yeah, so they talk about the supposed a betrayal of the Vongola Primo, and their, sort of like different opinions. Like, Suna has sort of met him in the, the weird space, and he's like, no, there's no way he would do that. And also especially like, knowing that Suna and Primo are the most similar of the Vongola heads, and like, well, Suna wouldn't do that. So yeah, of course Primo wouldn't do that. But, we have the shit with the letter, and, there was some weird stuff that happened, like, of course, as we found out later, Suna's dad killing Enma's family. Yeah. But they get their power-ups, and they're too strong for the Vongolas.
One thing, I mean, I've probably pointed it out before, knowing me, but and just forgot and then realized again in this arc, but like a lot of unique eyes for a lot of these characters.
Okay.
Obviously Mukuro has his thing. One of the support or one of the side characters. No, not Alba. Whoever was fighting. The boxer glasses boy.
That Alba, yeah.
It is Alba?
Oh yeah, yes.
Wait, then who's the big guy? I got names mixed up.
Mizuno is the big guy. Or that's
I got him confused.
No.
But yeah, like just different eyes, like Enma has kind of like the
yes.
It's like a little target. It's just a cool. I mean, this manga has really good character designs, so it's just more complimenting that. But like different antagonists having different eyes, and it's just interesting how many different sort of ways this mangaka can draw eyes, and even with like when Suna changes forms, like he's got slightly different eyes, and it's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, because, like, one thing you reminded me of is just how, like, because I mentioned how I think it's, really cool seeing the sort of growth in the manga as a manga. So, like, but I'm pretty sure Amano didn't do any, like, she's still doing manga, but I don't think she's doing battle shonen. So I would have been, like, it would be neat, or would have been neat to see, like, how she would take what she learned here into doing a different battle shonen. Right,
yeah.
Like sort of like going from Yu Yu Hakusho to Hunter x Hunter, where it's like, oh, here's this interesting series that has maybe some not amazing things here that goes into a series that like at least, because I know some people like Yu Yu Hakusho better, but we're both of the camp that Yu Yu Hakusho is good, but Hunter x Hunter is fucking Hunter x Hunter, right? So it would have been neat to see the hypothetical Hunter x Hunter to Reborn's Yu Yu Hakusho, if that makes sense. So
yeah,
but I'm more curious about her other manga now, just like seeing like her growth as an artist, and in both like writing and art, of course, and just wondering how she might have gone on and done other stuff. So yeah, just a thought. But yeah, the Vongos get their shit kicked in. Julie kidnaps Chrome. The rings are destroyed,
and then this guy comes in.
Yeah, just old guy who's just Well, see, I was a little worried at first because he's like, yeah, I can upgrade your rings. There's only a half and half chance to do it. And I'm like, well, there's only, like they don't have a choice. Like, they have to take the gamble no matter what. But then, like, the next chapter explained it better, and it's like, oh, okay. Like, it's still about their will. Like, the 50% chance isn't on him, it's on them. And whether, they can muster up the resolve to fight their friends, right? Like, so like, okay, that makes more sense. I like that better. Because I just didn't want it to be like old man comes in and solves everything. Like, nah, just no, that's not great. But
yeah, like the one thing this arc also does that's kind of different to Future, there isn't really like a training portion. Like it's because it's all about will, and so like yeah, this guy comes in and upgrades the rings, but it's still a lot of the development, I guess, is through like getting different perspectives on the characters, and like they kind of got blindsided, but now it's like they and also there was a line like when they get beaten up, I think like Suna goes to check on Hibari, and he's like, I'm fine except for my pride, and it's like, well, yes. I mean, that's the big theme of the battles later. So maybe that's also why this arc kind of felt different to Future and was easy to just kind of... Because I read through most of this in one day, which normally I can't do.
No, I was surprised because, normally I'll, like, maybe poke you, like, midway through the week, and it's like, how's the reading going? And it's like, but, like, in this case, it's like, yeah, let's go. You just fucking blaze through it, and, which is awesome, yeah. Because, I mean, luckily it wasn't quite as bulky. I think it was, like, 10, 15 chapters is shorter than the other readings, but also, like, like, obviously, like, it's not even just, like, whether you enjoy it or not, because, like, One Piece was still a little rougher in the sense of just, like, it's so dense that it's just, like, it's just more to get through, right? Even if we're reading the same amount of volumes, but, it's good, cool, good to hear. But yeah, Suna takes on the burden of the battle on their own because, they, it's to, avenge Yamamoto and save Chrome, so it's his friends involved, and also they're fighting up against, a different group of friends who they have to, like, obviously if they put it in someone else's hands and they didn't like the outcome, then that'd be something they'd regret, so they won't, and they do end up saving the Shimon family, so it's cool. I wonder if Reborn's ever gonna fight, because they were just saying, like, Reborn has to go with you, but then, like, yeah, he's never been in any of the fighting, and I'm just like, is she gonna pull that in the next arc? Are we finally gonna see Reborn in action? Like, because he's supposed to be awesome, and I don't know. Just something I thought about. Get a little moment with Kyoko and Haru, not getting dragged into the battle, which, because it's like last arc, they were not being told what was going on, when specifically what was going on directly affected them, like the fact that they were, 10 years separated from their homes and families.
Yeah.
Where in this case, it's like, it is more separate from them, so I'm not sure if I'm really fussed with them, like, not being involved, or, so, I don't know.
Yeah, it was kind of just something that, like, it happened, and I just kind of moved on. It's like they haven't been doing much to begin with, I guess.
True.
So
yeah.
I feel like it's kind of like it's the difference between, like, them and Chrome is, like, I guess I don't have very high expectations for those two, whereas, like, Chrome is part of the main group, so I'm like, and we get, as I mentioned, Shoichi and Spanner come up, which was neat. So yeah, they get to the island. I mean, I've talked about it before, because it's, again, just, praising the art, but I feel like maybe it was just because I was so bogged down in everything in the last arc that I didn't really have much of an opportunity to stop and, like, appreciate the layouts. But I feel like there were a lot of, like, really interesting, like, page composition with this arc. Like, I see one where, like, they meet up with the Shimon on the island, and the Vindai show up, and then, like, Suna does, like, his power up, and there's, like, a little, like it's like spheres orbiting around him, and then just, like, the other characters sort of kind of at the bottom of the page, just sort of, like, getting their reactions in.
Oh yeah,
it's just like, I don't know, it's very visually cool.
No, the way that they sort of form a circle around Suna. Yeah, I like it. Around the bottom of the page. But yeah, I actually, like, thinking on the Vindice again, it's like, it's just kind of interesting how, like, regularly that there are mediators between their conflicts. Like, there's never a tournament, but there's still a vibe of a tournament, if that makes sense. Well, I guess the Varia arc could be considered, like, kind of a tournament, because there were literally, like, fucking rings and stuff, like, it was specifically set up fights. Where in this case, it still has some of that, but obviously it's more like, it's not like, okay, they're still fighting one-on-one with the counterparts, but they're also, like, there was debate about that too. Like, they were taught, like, I'm pretty sure, in the final fights, it wasn't just like Suna versus Enma, even though that's how it ended up. Like, it felt like other characters, like, they always talked about other characters being involved, is what I remember, even if it ended up being one-on-one with the the counterparts. So
also a vibe I kind of got from I feel like we talked about kind of some inspirations for this before, but I don't remember if Saint Seiya would have come up, but I feel like the general sort of like power up of this arc with like the armor and like the animals kind of like fusing together, it just, I don't know, it kind of felt Saint Seiya to me, but
okay. I mean, I didn't have that vibe, but like just the fact that it is more like gear focused, like, you know, equipment focused, definitely feels more Saint Seiya, where I feel like, you know, a lot of the other series we read are more like martial arts or spiritual focused.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, right? Like obviously not that like there aren't gear changes or, you know, improvements, but they're usually, you know, they feel different, right? Like this feels like more like everyone's getting a cool new outfit and equipment, right? Like, which, yeah, that's very Saint Seiya, right? So anyway, they run into Alba, and Rihei fights him.
One thing that I like about Ryohei fights is that, like, I don't know, they just always feel very raw and like visceral and like, let's just beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like the way the battle works, where it's like almost a game of chicken, where they're just trying to like go all in, and like it's almost about like who gives in first, basically. But you know, ultimately they both give in that's at the same time. You know, because like you have the Ryohei's, you know, he sort of does like special counter blows by building up damage, where Alba has his eyes, which kind of like, you know, because dynamic vision is a thing in boxing, so he has a kind of like super exaggerated version of that. You know, so it's a neat little superpowered boxing match. Kind of. I think there's some kicks in there too, at some point, but I might be misremembering because they are both boxers. Maybe I'm thinking of a different fight.
I feel like I didn't fully catch.
No, you're. In my brain, I remember there being some kicks in there, but I might have been mixing it up with a different fight in my head, because it was kind of like a superpowered boxing match, basically.
Oh, yeah. God, and then we get like a little like Kenpachi or like Rock Lee dropping the weights moment, where it's just like, oh, you can't see without your glasses, and it's like, wait, these glasses are pitch black, I can't see, and then his eyes start going fucking crazy, and they got all these particles floating around, and it's like, yo, let's go.
It was pretty wild, yeah.
Hey, and there's the popularity poll.
Yeah, which just a straightforward one, which I could see this being the last one too. Like we might get one more in the last reading, but anyway, Hibari Strong.
Yes.
Suna's up there. Okay, really, like Hibari, Suna, Mukuro. It's like, yeah, that's it. That seems like, yeah, that's what the top 3 is going to be.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and then Gokudera, and then Yamato, which makes sense. Squallow also up there, which I get. He's angry. He's got long hair. So.
Yeah, one thing I think is kind of interesting about these popularity polls, yeah, because it is kind of still, you know, you've got your selection of characters that kind of float around the top, but like, you know, it's kind of fluctuated back and forth where like, you know, Suna's been the most popular character, and I think Mukuro was at one point, and Hibari's here. Gokudera might have even been at one point.
Gokudera's definitely been top 3 for sure. I don't know if he's been top 1, but he's definitely been very high.
Whereas
maybe
like with
the first
some
one, he was number 1, but yeah.
Whereas like with some stories like One Piece or I don't know if Naruto's like this, but it's usually like there's like one character who is like number 1 and stays number 1.
Yes. One Piece is definitely an example of that. Oops. 1 second. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear.
Okay, that was sorry. I just made a weird noise from my AirPods. But yeah, that definitely happens. I can't think of another series that had like a straight number 1 though. Like maybe, I don't know how. You actually, I don't think had that many character polls. Yeah, I don't know.
I really just like looking at the spread for the popularity poll. Now I'm like, whose character art do I like better, Kubo's or Amano's?
I can definitely see the case for Amano for sure, because like yeah, they're some handsome men, that's for sure.
I think it's also like the equipment that they use, and like, you know, a lot of like belts or gloves and rings, and
no,
so
yeah.
it's like
Yes, but like yes, like soon as gloves, like there was some pages, like pages that really focused on them, and it's like, damn, that's a lot of detail.
yeah, where it's like, you know, Kubo had a lot of a lot of the time the characters are just in the Soul Reaper outfits, but you do get a
Right.
lot of cool like
In the fashion and the color spreads, especially
Yeah.
where they'll do really cool looking outfits. Like I think he might have even mentioned that he specifically like researches into fashion, so for stuff to draw, basically. So which which is a shame that it's not in the actual manga. It's just in these like fucking color pages. And in the manga, yeah, they just wear the same uniforms for the most part. Sad.
Yeah, and also just knowing that like she did the character designs for Psycho-Pass and stuff. I'm definitely curious to like look at more of her work because it's art good.
Yeah.
I feel like the most consistent thing about this podcast has been the art for Reborn is fantastic.
Yes, which the only downside to that being the scan quality, not necessarily
Yeah.
getting that across, but that's the other constant because I always bring that up. So anyway, after the fight, they both get imprisoned, and we find out about the backstory, or well, we start finding out about the backstory between Primo and the first Shimon head, Kozato. We see a bit of Chrome being trapped. Then Lambo's fight.
Yeah, I think that's the other thing maybe with Chrome that I'm still like I feel like it's part of like her thread and the whole thing, like we kind of said earlier, of like, she's never really in full control of her life, but it's like very, very on the nose and like villain, like, oh, you're cute, I'm gonna stalk you, and it's just I don't know, not sure how I feel about it.
Yeah, it's I don't know, like Chrome's definitely a point where I feel like there could be like if someone were to just like go through all of her stuff and make like, here's the Chrome video and here's what I got out of this character, like maybe there's something really good there, but just like casually reading it and not really focusing on her, it's like, I don't know. I want to hear the argument for Chrome, but I don't know what it is or could be. So yeah. But yeah, Lambo and Rauji are oh, that's right. I think, why did they translate it like this? Because if I remember correctly, I saw on the first page of the arc, his name is Large, which I just realized Rauji is probably katakana for large because he's just big. So like, just I don't know. I realized, like, because I saw that, I'm like, huh, wait, why didn't they call him Large at any point during the reading? And it's like, oh, that's because they're calling him just by his literal like katakana name. So yeah, just something I noticed. I don't know which I'm gonna use, but because Large is a little awkward, but yeah. Oh yeah, Lambo versus Large. I guess they both have the LR fuckery because you have Rambo earlier, and I don't know, just dumb observation. But yeah, we see future Lambo for the first time in a long time, and yeah, they fight.
Yeah, it didn't really probably take much from this one. I think
probably, yeah.
Lambo's just kind of never really been a character I've like particularly clicked with.
Yeah, like I'm just trying to think, like, well, and then nothing's coming. Oh, I did notice that in their designs they both have the horns, which I made me think of like beetles, because like it's not an uncommon thing for like, especially for kids in summer, to like catch beetles and then have them like fight in a sumo ring and see which one gets knocked out, basically.
Yeah.
So that they're like doing that with the sumo beetle match. So I thought that was silly.
Yeah, I think the most I kind of liked out of their dynamic was the one joke at the end where it's like, I told Lambo I'd hang out at 3, but he misunderstood, so we've been up since 3 a.m.
Yeah. and yeah, like there's also the kind of like last bit where it's, like, I still hate the Vongola family, but I accept you, Lambo, which, neat little moment.
Yeah.
Right, then we got Gokudera versus Shitopi.
Like, I guess there is also a little line where Lambo's like, I never really thought of Suna as my boss, but like he's a great brother.
Yes.
And that's something.
Yeah, no, just like the Suna's family not being so much of a mafia family except in name only, basically, right? So yeah. But yeah, I do like the conflict of Gokudera versus Shitopi, where, she has, her pride is in herself. Like, she's weird, and she's been, isolated and looked down on for that weirdness, but she, continues to love herself, where Gokudera obviously has this really high devotion for Suna, who's, like, she did her research, and she's like, man, he's got all these weird bad things. How do you like him? And he's like, yeah, whatever. Like, he doesn't give a shit. He likes Suna, no matter what. And, but, he's able to take things from other people where, and, also ends up breaking through to Shitopi and, like, she's like, hey, there's another person I can respect, So, sort of like an isolation togetherness versus togetherness kind of thing. Or maybe not togetherness is the wrong word, but, hopefully that gets across what I kind of mean.
Yeah. I do think it's also cool having a character like that who is just, they kept making a joke that she's like
an Uma, yeah.
Uma, yeah. And that she's just so weird. And it's like, after a while it's like, yeah, I just kind of got used to it, and it's like, who cares what other people think? I'm just going to be me and believe in myself. And it was a good conflict overall.
Yeah, no, and I guess, like, thinking about it where it's like, I like Shitopi. She's, which is not what I'd expect for a character literally called Shit P. Like, this is a good character and I like her. It's like, well, step back, hold on, what am I saying? No, it's she's good. I like her. And of course, like, she calls him an Uma because, like, she thinks he's weird, and it's just like, they're fun. So yeah, Emma busts in, and we get this, little pre-fight, so to speak. Of course, like, bringing up their sort of familial bonds with Suna's dad having killed his mom, and Suna understanding Enma more. And then we get Julie with Chrome, and revealing that, he can also, create organs for her, illusory organs. I've been I've never been able to really slip this in, but have you ever heard the reference of, like, where are her organs in regards to, like, character design and stuff, like a meme, I guess?
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously, like, an example is, like, with One Piece where Nami and Robin are drawn so thin, it's like, where are their organs? I've kept thinking about that, but I haven't been able to slip a reference into that somewhere because, like, there's with Chrome, it's like, where are her organs? And it's just, but it's like, and it's always sad when it happens because she's, like, bleeding and it's like, oh, dying, and it's like, oh no, that she doesn't have them. But I've been thinking about that meme ever since the character was introduced. So, or not since he was introduced, but since we learned about that. I don't know.
Just a little bit of dark humor. Where are her organs? Oh God! Oh no!
Oh God! Yeah, exactly. And then we get a just fucking giant out of left field reveal where Julie's like, yeah, I'm the fucking guy. I'm from the first part of the first Vongola family. I'm him. And it's like, oh fuck, okay, which, he's a literalization of the past, at which serves as the antagonist of the arc, which really fittingly. So it's just like a nice, like, left field reveal that I think, I mean it's better than Julie. Like, it could be worse. It could have just been Julie. So, it's like, oh, no, it's just this evil shithead who's, he's still guilty of the same things, but, I don't know. I definitely think it works really, well enough as an antagonist. So,
because like you said earlier about, like, last arc we were dealing with the future, and this arc we were dealing with the past. So, like, the main antagonist being, literally someone from, like, the first generation, which kind of reminds me of, like, Madara coming back in Naruto, or something like that, to really show that like generational conflict and sort of like passing the torch, kind of. Because it also ties in with like there was supposed to be the celebration for Tsuna to become the next Vongola leader, and so like deliberately, like the ninth told his people to stay back and not get involved because like that wasn't gonna help the family like grow. Like this was an important conflict for them to handle, because it's like the future.
Yeah, and then even just like, because Daemon sort of talks about how like he didn't really respect Primo's way, and like he's sort of the reason that like from second generation onward the Vongola became more violent, more focused on the crime and money angle. And Suna, like he specifically surfaced at this, because he's presumably been around this whole time, but he tells Suna something where it's like, I'll be around as long as there are people like you in the Vongola, or something like that, because he has this specific vision of what the Vongola should be like, and Suna doesn't represent that vision. So it just works perfectly for the passing of the torch, because he he's challenging Suna as the mafia head, because he represents what he doesn't want for the family. It's nice.
I think this arc also kind of clicked with me. How just I know like most of his character kind of clicked with me. I forget if it was the last arc or the one before that. But like the whole him going back and forth on like, oh, I don't want to be mafia, and it's like he goes through a whole arc where he is defending everybody, and gets to the end of the conflict and then goes right back to being like, I don't want to be mafia. But how like, and it plays into his fight at the end of the arc, where like his nature to constantly like question things, and like especially with this arc being kind of about pride, and how I feel like with Suna, with like the reveal of like, oh, your dad killed my parents, and there was this stuff with the first generation that like he I think the specific thing that stood out to me was when he was talking about like the position Enma was in, and he's like actually I think I might have gone past it already. That like I don't think they're doing the right thing, but like I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, because like if I was in that position and I saw the son of the person who killed my family, I'd do the same thing. So like it's sort of, I guess, again, connecting to other shonen, like how Naruto is always like he has that connection with the people he fights, and kind of is able to break through to them that way. And like the whole thing with Tsuna's intuition, and just kind of his nature of being like doubtful, and I'm realizing why I kind of realized it before, but it's just like more and more clicking that if I had read Hitman Reborn prior to making the Insecure Shonen protagonist video, he absolutely would have been there, because this is
right.
Like this is that in a nutshell.
Basically, yeah, for sure. But yeah, getting it, because I'm at the panel where he's questioning what he's doing.
Although now I'm just now that I say that, I'm just thinking about like how people talk about Deku in the like anime community, and I just imagine like if this were publishing today, I feel like there'd be a lot of flack for Suna being very wishy-washy and always like whining and why does he die?
Yeah. He's definitely is, and that's kind of the point, is that he is pretty pathetic, and Reborn gets on him a lot. But like he's also not just that. So yeah. Anyway, while Chrome's mind controlled, Adelaide she comes in.
It's like, is it like Adelaide?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, because at least Adelaide sounds like a name. But it is an anime character, so like they don't have to have names that sound like actual names. Like in fact, that's something I've been talking about. Like fucking Coyote Nougat is not a name, but it is And that's why I love, like, I literally do not give a shit about that character except that he has like a fucking amazing name that I just like think about it. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna name my son. Keone.
I know. I know that like Enma calls her like an abbreviated like Adele or Adele or something like that. So I mean, like, you know, we could run with that.
And of course, like, she has her entrance, and then Hibari just like helicopter.
Yeah,
like,
that's so sick. Like the helicopter just kind of flies by, and they're like, "Huh, what's that about?" Oh well, and then Hibari just shows up.
He's so funny. And then of course, you know, they have their battle for.
Oh my god, badges. Yeah, that's that page where he comes out of the helicopter and he's so edgy.
He's so good. Like, I was thinking about, like, I don't usually have aesthetic characters, but I do this time, and it's Hibari. Like,
yes, yeah, definitely.
Like, I'd understand if you don't have a specific aesthetic character for this series, because
they're
like,
all
you know,
aesthetic,
except
for the ones that
all the
aren't.
edgy, bad, handsome boys. It's like, like, there's so many of them. Like, how could you choose? But it's like me. It's like Hibari. Like, he's so, and like, look, when he gets his outfit, like, the long coat is really cool, but just the cherry on the top of the ice cream sundae is Heberb having a fucking delinquent pompadour. Is just amazing.
Yo, I don't know if I quite like processed that when I looked at it the first time.
There's like a sliding scale of like interest in Hebird and disinterest in Hebird, and like, I know what side I'm on and I know what side you're on, because you just like,
I'm not uninterested. Like, I think the whole thing with Hibari like being the edgy boy who just beats the shit out of people, but he also has like a soft side, and he really loves small animals and like the little hedgehog and the little bird. It
yeah.
Is this
more just like,
way?
It is, and yeah, just more just like, I'm noticing the Hebird stuff, and that, yeah, but it's so funny. I love it.
I do think it's also there's like, we get some good, like, I don't want to say low detail, but definitely like more kind of comedic, like, you get like the art style where it's very like detailed and close up on the eyes and stuff like that, but then you get more of like a distant shot. Like, there's one of him just kind of rolling his eyes, and it looks a lot simpler, but it's like, I can send you the page I'm talking about.
Go ahead.
It's just he's good, multifaceted character. God, I have so many folders.
Too many pretty boys. They all need their folder.
But yeah, like bottom left corner of that page.
Yeah, you normally doesn't look like yeah, simplified looks like that, and it's very good.
And this fight was very much like from when they first interacted and kind of had the scuffle on the roof of the school in the beginning. You know, It was from there. It's like, all right, this is the fight I'm looking forward to the most. And yeah, I definitely think it's possible it's just my favorite fight in the series to this point.
That's fair. Yeah, I can see that. Because like, yeah, the Adelaide and Hibari, just, they're, you know, cool and good, and they have you know, their respective prides. And like, look, when Hibari, you know, like, frames the cloud and the sky as just like, so good. You know, and yeah, like you were talking about the, you know, him, like, yeah, he talks about small animals, but he doesn't like dismiss them, right? Like, you know, because obviously, yeah, like he literally has two small animals that he uses, you know, so it's not a derogatory term as it kind of sounds like it is.
Yeah. Also, just again with the art, like the page where he like enters the fight and the hedgehog is kind of freaking out, falling, and then he's just like don't be scared, and it's like, there's the soft boy.
Yes. You know, because yeah, he is like, yeah, this edgy boy, but he also does like care about this, like the whole Mukuro arc happened, you know, his involvement was because like students from his school were getting attacked. Like, he wants to protect, you know, his fellow classmates, right? Like, you know, because he loves the school, and so, you know, he'll protect weak things, and including like weak animals. And You know,
I
and
see.
like,
Yeah, there's the bird with the pompadour. That's so sick.
it's so good. And you know, like, you know, Hibari is like free and does his own thing, but like he still acknowledges and respects Suna, right? Who is himself like, because you know, again, I think of that one, the zoo chapter from a while back, which I pointed out, where it's like Suna is being compared to like a hamster and a lion, you know, and so you have right, like, well, so like his companion is nuts, but he's also like Suna himself is like he's a hamster that can turn into a lion, I guess you could say, right? Like normally he is this small weak animal, but then he has fangs, right? Like he's incredibly powerful, right? And like Suna being the way he is also allow, like, you know, he's the sky that allows the cloud to be free, right? You know, and sort of like, and also just like, you know, Suna like reading into other people and taking these things from others, like, you know, because him seeing the pride of his friends is also helping it, because he doesn't even know what he takes pride in, right? You know, but then like through sort of seeing all of his comrades' pride, basically he's able to understand what he takes pride in, right? You know, so and Hibari's fight is where that kind of clicked for me.
Yeah, I think in general this fight is just, you know, I'm pretty sure like God, that character name. Like
we
she's
found
described
it. We
as
found
being...
the Mathwiz name she can't pronounce, where it's like it's been me every series up
like,
till now, and now it's your turn.
I think with this one, it's just like there's so many ways I feel like I could pronounce that I can't settle on one. But like she's described as being like she has the strongest resolve of the Shimon family, and you know, it's just like, so you have like Hibari, who's very like, you know, he always does his own thing, so like also has a very strong resolve and is very, so it's kind of like the difference between the two being like Hibari is kind of a lone wolf and does his own thing and just kind of comes and goes with the wind like a cloud, but she is like the glue that keeps everyone together, for like the Shimon. So it's just, yeah, it's a cool like contrast of characters. And like you said, the way that the fight kind of interweaves, like you get the stuff about the small animals and like, you know, both, the ones that like Hibari fights with, but also then, you know, tying it into the main characters, both Suna and Enma, and then also like you said, framing the cloud in the sky that way it's just it's so good.
No, yeah, it's a really strong fight, and like, yeah, no, like, yeah, I think you summed it up really well though. Like, I'm like, what do I add? It's like, well, shit. She said, I mean, I said some things earlier, but yeah, it's really cool. I don't need that as a pun because she has ice powers. Fuck. Which, I mean, I thought about that. You're like, she's the glue that keeps everyone together. Like, and I'm like, oh, like they're frozen together. They're stuck. Yeah, I don't know. Like ice can keep stuff stuck to, I don't know, as well. Like, that's a little, it's awkward. So never mind.
I don't know if there's like maybe also something to take away from the fact that like her ability is like an ice castle that like she stays like trapped inside, and that like, you know, so no one can get to her, where Hibari just, you know, he goes with the wind like a cloud. He's everywhere. He does whatever.
Yeah, because I mean, that's interesting because I'm not sure. I guess like if she's, yeah, because I don't know, like, because yeah, she's the one who sort of like rallied the Shimon family. So I'm not sure if like she's trapped by it per se. You know. Yeah. So I'd have to think about that more.
Also, I'm just looking through art and I see like a page where Hibari is just looking super edgy, and then you see the pompadour bird on his shoulder, and it's like, it's just like the perfect, just, this is cinema.
Peak. But anyway, and then you also get the flashback memory where like just as it's about to reveal that Damon's like shady, he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna bother hiding anymore. It's me. I'm an asshole. Oh yeah, this is what I was thinking of earlier, trying to remember earlier, where you have like it's not just quite the one-on-one fights anymore, even though it still like turns into that. Well, no, actually no, because Mizuno kind of gets his ass beat, like Yamamoto, or no, yeah, I don't even think, yeah, Yamamoto doesn't even really fight him at all. Like he just gets, Yamamoto's more interested in taking down Daemon, while Mizuno gets taken down. So, and yeah, they find out that the Shimon family was never betrayed. So, Adelaide wants them to save Enma, and of course, Mizuno, and calls out to Yamamoto because they want to be friends. He still wants to be his friend. So just now that they don't have the blood between them necessarily, they have no reservations about being comrades. So yeah.
Kaoru, that was the name.
I just use one or the other, and I can't never. I can often. I mean, sometimes I'll settle on one.
Maybe it's just because they both had like the Ao in their names, so I got confused between Aoba and Kaoru.
That makes sense. Yeah. And Yamamoto shows off his stuff against Daemon. He's still a cool boy.
Oh, it's really funny. I did like a stream where I was going through character designs a while back, and like one thing I noticed about like recurring design elements was like jackets with like the kind of like puffy like fur like collar or whatever, and I just realized that Yamamoto has that, and I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Gotcha. But yeah, I did, because he talks about being healed by Byakuran. I just realized I don't think that came up again, so I wonder if that's going to get touched on in the next reading.
It did come up just to be like, wait, Byakuran's around? What the fuck? This is bad. But it's like, no, he's under surveillance. It's fine. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, because I didn't think about how, like, yeah, there should be a version of Byakuran in this timeline as well. But probably without his, like, full all-universe memory shit, but, still around. And, like, yeah, like you said, like, yeah, so yeah, I do want, like, because that wasn't the only thing that I thought might come up in the, I'll be like, okay, the next arc is called Curse of the Rainbow. We know the Archipelano, pacifiers are all colored after rainbow, but also there's an 8th pacifier that was mysteriously brought up and then, not followed up on in the reading. So it's like, yeah, there's stuff to resolve going forward. So yeah. I'm curious how it's going to resolve, because I guess another thing regarding, like, the sort of growth and evolution of the series is that it feels very much kind of like it just kind of continues, if that makes sense. Like, it doesn't feel, I don't see the broad overarching structure in a way, like, which, isn't a bad thing. It's just like, it's just a way that, shonen stories can be written. Like, I'm just kind of curious as to how it's going to resolve everything in the last, like, 60 or so chapters. But yeah, now that they know their enemies, Suna is able to find his resolve, and Nuts comes out, and they sort of comment on how, like, Suna's been hesitant to fight, so, Nuts is a reflection of him, so of course he's also been hesitant. So anyway, Mukuro comes out to fight Daemon, while Enma Suna runs into Enma, who's been fucked with. But yeah, so Suna is able to break through to Enma, which is cool. Their friendship's able to win out. I'm skipping ahead quite a bit, I realize.
Yeah, I do like how, like, Nuts is, like, the way he portrays, like, Suna's, like, inner emotions, like, the fact that he was, like, friendly with Enma in the first place. There was, like, some other moment with that I thought was interesting, but maybe we haven't gotten there yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't think of it right now. But yeah, Suna's ability to protect his friends is his pride. And then, like, as Enma's getting blasted, he's sort of like, the sky is harmony, so it's like the combination of all things. So the fact that, like, it works with Suna coming to his answer with pride after seeing the pride of his friends, basically. So, yeah.
I'm also trying to think of, like, other, this moment between these two characters has real, like, it's just, like power friendship type, very strong, shonen trope. And I'm trying to think of like what the like wait for me, like kind of other parallels to that. Because I feel like saying Sasuke Naruto isn't quite accurate, but kind of, it's just like, it's always cool whenever it's like, I don't know. I feel like I'm just falling back on like this arc is incredibly shonen and I like it.
No, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking of, just where it's like, yeah, friendship, where it's like, yeah, you know what? I like the power of friendship, Yeah, I said it because I just feel like people like mock it a bit, right? Where it's like, that's what are you making? If you're making a shonen parody, you're gonna mention like, I fight for my friends and they get stronger, right? Like that's just how it works. But it's good. Fuck you. Yeah. So, it's Naruto and Sasuke makes sense, especially because like Sasuke and Naruto were also very lonely. So they had that contrast where in this case they're both sort of awkward and weak in a sense. But it's it's I don't know. It's a character dual, contrast for sure, and like kind of rivalry friendship thing. So, rivalry friendship antagonist thing, I should add. So, but yeah, we get the flashback, the last one, before or maybe that's or maybe there's one more. Yeah, there would be one more because of the mist fight. But yeah, we get Mukuro versus Daemon.
And Reborn is angry.
Yes, he's mad about the pacifier, which I don't know. I will say, like, because it's also something I think is wild about One Piece, where it's like we're over 1,050 chapters in, and Shanks, literally one of the first characters we're introduced to, is still very fucking mysterious. And like I feel I'm starting to realize it's the same with Reborn, where it's like we've known this character literally since chapter 1, and he's still very mysterious. Now I think of it, we literally don't really know that much more about him than we did from like the first reading, so I'm kind of wondering like how much more there is to learn. But yeah, Mukuro sort of there's the he sees his comrades as extensions of himself, which I guess is a note of change, because I felt like he was more like abusive and like he was willing to sacrifice his comrades before, and now he's like, well, no, they're a part of me, so I'm not going to let them come to harm, right?
But he's still kind of like, how like it was like, oh, his reactions will be slower because it's like he cares about his friends, and it's like he's still like just he still just impaled him, so like he didn't really hold anything back.
True. Well, it's like
but he did say like not emotional bonds, they're just extensions of himself.
Oh,
so, like...
never mind, I got it back. Yeah, you're right. My bad.
So I guess maybe like I just took something a little different away from that moment.
No,
it also does kind of set up that when Enma's trying to like sacrifice himself later, and Suna's like, no, I can't do that, and Mukuro's like, damn it.
No, I think I just misread it, so never mind. But yeah, and the fight ends. Mukuro's not able to go back to his body because Daemon took control of it, and
I like how when Hibari shows up, he just chucks his like tonfa at him immediately.
Yeah, that's good Hibari content. But yeah, the fucking spooky family, they arrange a deal where if they stop Daemon without their involvement, they'll free all the prisoners. Daemon's strong. He's able to use like everyone's abilities through his illusions. But yeah, Enma and Suna work together, and it's awesome.
Yeah, but we also get a little Hibari moment. He fights for a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's right. It was Daemon who killed Enma's family. Yeah, I was trying to like, how did that get resolved again? And it's like, yeah, that's right. Now I remember.
He did everything, but he just made it look like it was other people.
Yeah, dick. And then they combine heaven and earth to Chrome jumps in so she's able to protect Enma so that he can fight free, because Enma tries to do a self-sacrificial thing, but Suna doesn't want to hurt him. So yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of the one Chrome moment I like. I stumbled there. That was the one Chrome moment I liked. Because that was a moment where like Mukuro was kind of like admonishing her, like, you're not strong enough. That's not going to work. And she does it anyway. And so he just has to be like, fine. And,
she
chip
actually
in
had
whatever
agency.
he has left.
And yay.
So I did like that.
But yeah, Daemon pretends to be Enma and gets one over on Suna. That's when he combines the rings.
Yeah, I did think it was interesting that, he had like Daemon had like the like all the powers of the Guardians, but not like the heaven or the earth, or like what the two like leaders had, and so like the two of them combined was still stronger than everything else.
Yeah, no, it is called Skyring, but I just think of it like heaven and earth in regards to like there's some famous like quotes, like Buddhist quotes that refer to it as heaven and earth, so I just think of it like that. I just ended up framing it that way in my head. So.
Oh, I don't know what I said. I probably just
you said
what you said.
You said sky correctly, but I was saying heaven, but
Oh, okay.
Because I'm pretty sure it is sky, but I just think of it like it is a unity between two things that are inherently separate, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I did think it was a little weird because they bring up like, oh, there's the 8th attribute, and then they're like, yeah, incorporeal bodies aren't allowed to use the 8th attribute, so we're gonna like imprison you or something. I was like, that's weird. So yeah, I guess like there's some cool moments, but I guess I wasn't quite as satisfied with the final fight as I was expecting. Considering like a lot of the arc was good, but like it was still fine, but it just I didn't quite like it as much as I thought I would. So.
Yeah, that's fair. For me, I think it was kind of like, well, hey, the quote-unquote objective observers that always go against the protagonist finally, like, did a thing.
Yeah, they didn't go against... They weren't actually against the protagonists for a change. Yeah, that was nice. And yeah, then we find out about Elena, who, drove Daemon's desire to change the family and, ensure they have no enemies, but didn't work out, and Suna sort of uses his reading to sort of like come up with hey, maybe this is what she thought, and it was neat.
But I thought it also said that he lied.
He lied. And I think it also, I feel like, I don't know. Did they also say something about Daemon knowing that? David, or no, never mind. That was a different thing. I read a different line context. Never mind. They did mention that he lied about it, so, but anyway, the prisoners are freed, and they go back to school, and, everything's normal, ? Did you have any last things about the fight before we finish the discussion, or?
No, I think we covered it.
Okay, but yeah, there's just some more gags, and everyone's chill with each other. We get the last flashback with the the Primo and Kozato, knowing that their children are gonna, get through it, and they'll be able to, meet again and smile, and then it ends with them laughing, and it's like, yeah, good, good stuff.
I did also like the joke, where like everyone's back and Kyoko shows up and is like, what are you doing? You were just recently hit by a shooting star. And it's like just absurd lies that she just believes.
And the way she's drawn with like so much detail, and there's just that slightly sad look in her eyes, just sells it. But yeah, fun arc. Definitely the strongest the manga has been so far. And I hope the next arc can follow it up.
Yeah, especially considering, we're getting towards the end now. So, like, if it could keep that energy to the end, that'd be cool.
Right. I don't think I have anything more to say. Good stuff. So our next reading will be chapter 347 to 409, which is the end of the series. So
Let's
yeah,
go.
we're finishing Hitman Reborn. Woo! Just knocking out 40 volumes. That's totally how it. Yes, that's how history will remember it. We just boom, knocked it out like it was no problem. Never mind the vacation. Never mind any other hiccups we might have had. We're good. Right. And yeah, I already mentioned. Check out the poll in the description, and that is all. See you next time.